Hey folks, Bill Gallagher here for another round of the cat taxes for daily D&D. Keep. Just coming off a win versus Dredge, where we actually got to mind break trap a card. That's cool. It's like the bingo board list of things that I would have wanted to do when putting together this deck list. I'm going to give you a hint. If you have a counterspell, you use it. This card's real good. Real good. Real good. I don't have anything else to say here. I'm stalling for time. All right, we've done it. Taxes mirror. In all likelihood. We're not really well equipped for that fight. In that, like, my opponent has an equipment package and I don't. But maybe my cats will destroy them. Not taxes mirror. White Eldrazi, I guess? I think I'm like 100% wastelanding that Caracas. I fear that my opponent is doing something else while playing Magic, and that this video might go long. So things are going well in the life of Phil. Finally getting far enough ahead in terms of like lesson planning and stuff that I can relax a little bit during the day. I think I'm about 2 weeks ahead right now, which is a good place to be. Recently learned that our school has a pretty killer football team. I think we had like 51 points at halftime or something like that. I had to work the homecoming game, and it was an impressive show. In case, no, what am I scared of? We're getting in there. So I guess long term I can't flicker Wisp with Chalice away, so this Swords of Plowshares is going to be not a good draw. What's my opponent's little avatar thing? She has like steampunk Chandra goggles, but also a giant mace. Unsure. I'm not really a lore person. You've been following my content for long enough. You probably know that. I've sent my opponent a friendly poke asking them if they can play a little bit faster for the sake of you all. My opponent has managed to play Chalice of the Void in 5 minutes. Alright, so Phil's thoughts on the metagame right now. Online seems to be, I don't know that I want to say dominated, but fast combo seems to be relatively well positioned online. I've been seeing a lot of Dredge, a lot of Ant, and more all-in combo decks than I'm used to seeing. So like, for example, I don't remember who's this league or the previous league. I've recorded 2 weeks of daily D&T in one day here. But like I played against Hypergenesis, and I played against Hypergenesis I think last week as well. And I've played against like TES in a Belcher deck recently. So a lot of people seem to be trying to attack the metagame from a front of like, can I just go faster than you? And I don't know how successful that is as a whole. But if a lot of the Delver decks are playing things like Renin 6 and True Name Nemesis and Dreadhorde Arcanist that are a little bit dirtily and like don't have necessarily the same goldfish potential, then like absolutely I can see like the appeal of trying to do something like that. But it appears like this daily D&T is probably going to be a bust, folks. Sorry to say. My opponent is probably just going to time out one way or another. Whatever they were doing, I think we've got them beat game 1 just with like dumping Sarah Avengers into play for 2 turns in a row and turning them sideways. Like we have 6 followed by 9 damage. Oh, there we go. And Urza's Bobble, you bet. Alright, so it was Bomberman. Bomberman was the answer. We can always yield to that. Always yield to that. It appears that I have acquired an interesting cursor for the rest of this match. And we can say always know that. Thalia is actually pretty good here. It'll make it a little bit harder for my opponent to just goldfish us. Opponents also lost Metalcraft by sacrificing their Bauble. So I think it's correct to just dump in my Thalia rather than the Sarah Avenger. Now I'll have to consider whether or not I want to bad manners my opponent by if they get the combo, do I make them do it out since they made me wait for like 5 minutes before taking an action? So I have lethal in the air next turn. And my opponent has conceded the game. Nice. Still have the interesting moto cursor. Alright. Chalice, good. Surgical, good. Mind Break Trap, I guess actually good. That prevents the combo from going off as well. Palace Jailer, not so much. Council's Judgment is good against like the Karn side of the deck. Yeah, that all seems pretty good. Let's figure out what we don't want. Canonist says artifact spells, so that can go here. Core Skyfisher can probably go. Leonin Arbiters can probably go. That'll leave me with 22 creatures and a fair amount of disruption. I'm game for that. This seems like a perfectly fine hand. And what if we get to like Mind Break Trap a turn 1 Karn or something? How sick would that be? Am I gonna snap off a Wasteland on Caracas? I don't see why not. Like, we have Athalia as a part of our game plan anyway. Kind of hoping my opponent doesn't like Mentor here. It's a Mystic Forge. Okay. So my opponent doesn't have colored mana. They do have an amazing draw engine, though. So if you're not familiar with this card, you can look at the top card of your library. You can cast it if it's an artifact card or a colorless non-land card. So in other words, like, not the Mentor or Salvager sides of the deck, but the other stuff you can cast. Alright, my opponent has found white mana. Which probably means Mentor. Yep. We'll nug that with the Swords to Plowshares and then go on with our life. I think I'm going to crack in with that Thalia rather than try to hold it back defensively. My opponent's pretty likely to be able to prowess through my Thalia. And in case you haven't been tracking it, my opponent still has 6 cards in hand after like vomiting all of those cards last turn between like the Mystic Forge like effectively drawing cards and these things cycling. Okay, so how am I beating this Mentor? I could scry towards removal, I could play Anafenza and just try to create bigger bodies than the monks. I don't know that, like, scrying is going to be reasonable. And again, I'm going to go ahead and take my attack here. My opponent has Mystic Forge and Ancient Tomb. So I do need to respect that, like, one of the easiest ways for me to win this game is just going to be, like, kill my opponent while they're doing, like, Mystic Forge sorts of things. Oh, please don't have another Mentor. Alright. That is bad for me. That is very bad for me. So Mindbreak Trap will be live. I'm not going to counter something insignificant. If I can get a decent card out of it, I will counter it. Would my opponent trade 2 monks for my Anafenza? I don't think so. I need to probably Council Judgment away the Mentor, but that's going to leave Mystic Forge around. I think... I don't think I can attack. So I nug the Mentor. It leaves Mystic Forge. Mystic Forge plus these monks are still a huge problem and can still potentially leave me dead next turn. But I don't think I win if I just, like, take the Mystic Forge. I think I'll just die to what's on board. Alright. Facing 6 damage already. So you just probably get a Walking Ballista, and then you can cast that next turn to finish me off. Nope, just a Lion's Eye Diamond, which represents 9 damage this turn. Sure. So now I chump block, I go to 1, and I'm not sure that I really have outs after that. So I guess I can also consider Rest in Peace as something that stops the Bomberman side of the equation. I didn't consider that before. It stops like the hard combo side of Auriok Salvators. Feels like my opponent has boarded more towards like the mentor side, but that may just be like what I'm seeing. I need to be careful that I'm leaving enough stuff to actually finish the game. I don't want to dip below 20 creatures. I guess I could take away the givers. They have some utility against board stalls, but I can just like prevent myself from being comboed and I guess keep one of them in. That would leave me at 19 creatures. I really don't like that. I'm not comfortable below, like I really try not to drop below 20. So what if we drop a vial and just play another giver? Just like have something else that I can turn sideways. Alternatively, I could just board 2 Rest in Peace. So I'm going to keep this hand. If my opponent is on a Karn hand and they just get to like Karn plus my Chalice away, this hand is super embarrassing. But if they keep a hand with a whole bunch of artifacts that cycle, you know, hoping that like a mentor is going to get them, I can nug the mentor, counter all those things, and get a huge amount of value from this hand. Deal. You know, much happier to see it hit that than the Thalia. Oh, just tap out for a mentor. Do it. Let me Swords of Plowshares it. Yes. Let me draw a land, too. All right, well, I can't have it all. We have our opponent stuck on lands. Absolutely just turning his giver sideways in this situation. We want to try to close the game as quickly as possible while my opponent is still stumbling. So this puts my opponent to 9. So unfortunately I have 6 power in play and can only add 2 power to the board. So we're going to play out a Revoker on something that could be very annoying for us, and that's Walking Ballista. All right, and we took that one down. We've moved up to 3-1 with cat taxes in sort of a combo-heavy metagame. I'll be back tomorrow to see if we can make it a 4-1.